Okay, we are recording. Andrew, how are you today?
I'm really, really well. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. I'm all right. Where are you? Where's home?
I'm in London at the moment. In just my
Lovely.
bedroom. Where are
Nice.
you?
I'm just outside of London, in Essex. Yeah.
That's a nice wall. Is it real?
No, you know what? The amount of people that comment on that, Andrew, and it looks really like it looks like I'm in some sort of comedy club in the '90s in America, but it's actually 3.99 a roll at the range. It's it's far less glamorous. This is my little sort of shed, but I'm not really
It's
a kind of shed guy. So I just move it like that. I've turned it into like a little sort of
wow.
bar at the end of me garden where I can. But over lockdown, it just become a little studio where podcasts were sort of happening more like this now remotely.
Oh right.
And
Got a bar in there.
I guess so. It's just got some bottles of spirits and a little thing where my pals can sit and have a drink.
Oh,
But
that's nice.
well, I mentioned lockdown there. Um, we can just sort of cast our minds back to that a little bit. How did you find the sort of 2 years as an artist? Like, how did you find it? And I guess both personally and creatively.
Um, I guess it was good for me. It was really good for me. It allowed me because of those restrictions, it kind of reinforced that I had to make do with what I had, which is great. It meant I couldn't chase things like I don't know, playing live, for instance, or leaving the house. You just can't chase that. You
Yeah,
have to be there, and I guess for me, it made me confront some things that I haven't always able um, to escape from, I guess, which was nice. I think everyone had that. It was like this thing where, like, there's a tremendous sense of grief from it from time to time, and it was just something you had to accept. And I
yeah,
remember those moments, like, okay, there's that feeling again, but it's fine. Which has made I don't know. It means after pandemic, it means a lot of things have been a lot more easy to tolerate, perhaps. A lot of things, other things less so. But yeah, it was good for me in that way, and then creatively, it was brilliant for that. It just felt like there was a bottleneck actually, and then COVID was provided an opportunity to um, uh, let go of that stuff. How
yeah.
about you? How did you find it?
Um, I've not been asked that. I don't know. I think at first I I run a venue, and so we was one of the last. We was one of the first to shut and the last to reopen. So it had quite a serious impact financially for me. As a podcaster as well. Up until then, I had a little office in East London, a little sort of studio, and I would just arrange to meet people there and do this thing called face to face, which is a thing of the past now. Where I actually sat in a room with a human and had a chat, and I think also that meant my sort of podcasting was all going to stop, and I was like, oh, what am I going to do? And then someone said, there's this thing called Zoom. You should check it out, and it felt very weird at first, Andrew, and I don't know, if you'd been working via Skype or anything like that as an artist, for the lockdown, but I found sort of conversing on Zoom initially really odd,
Hmm.
and then it's like anything, I guess you adapt, and I think what I liked about lockdown, not huge amounts, but what I did like is in every kind of field of work that I work in, and all of my friends that are in different sort of creative industries, I like the fact that everybody had to kind of it all went punk as fuck again. Everybody had to kind of go, right, well, look, what have I got here? This is all I've got. So what can I do with this?
Exactly.
And I really like that.
Yeah, me too.
And some, don't get me wrong, there was loads of really awful shit come out of it, and there was lots of really really amazing stuff as well. And I really like that. I just think, and with that in mind, Andrew, did when you knew that, I think we got to a point maybe a month in where all of a sudden the reality of the situation was like, oh right, this ain't going to be a quick fix. This actually might last a bit longer. Did you think, right, let's just start creating stuff, or can you do that, or do you have to find inspiration in things to kind of fire you up, or can you just turn it on at a point where it's like, right, well, I've got time now, so let's just do it, or how was that process for you?
I think, yeah, the taking away of things that you could normally do. I don't. This is a total guess, by the way, because I can't recreate that situation to figure out whether this is true or not. But I suspect boredom is what makes people creative.
Yeah.
And I feel like I remember during COVID, I was like, right, I'm spending way too much scrolling. Nowadays, because I can go out and stuff, I find I'm still aware that I'm still scrolling too much.
Yeah.
But during COVID, I was very conscious of it to the point that I was actually systematically trying to curb it. But and I wish I had that impetus now, but I don't. I just don't.
Yeah.
Um, I wonder if without those distractions and like boredom, I think this is the part which I don't know if it's true or not, but it feels like boredom is an important thing to experience.
Yeah.
So I can't experience anymore at the moment. Well, I can, but it would require proper work, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's start your playlist, and I'm going to ask you, please, Andrew, for track one, tell me the song with the greatest ever intro, please.
Oh, is this Planet Telex?
It is Planet Telex.
Yeah, that intro is it's mad, isn't it?
Yeah, you can swear, mate. You can, I do appreciate that. He's fucking incredible.
Isn't it? It's
Oh, mate,
huge.
mate. Um, my best mate is a musician and or former musician called Scroobius Pip, and
Oh.
and have you ever heard his track "Letter from God to Man"?
Yeah.
They
I'm
use
not
Planet
a fan.
Telex like just amazingly, and I think like, if I remember rightly, Radiohead actually gave them clearance for that, which is you'd imagine Radiohead to be quite, well, they're famously quite selective as to anything that he's done with their art, but yeah, what a phenomenal intro. Why did what I mean, apart from the fact that it's incredible, was there anything else that was in the sort of that almost made it, or was it just bang straight away?
Well, so the first two tracks I picked for you occurred around the same time. I can't confirm whether they were released around the same time, but for me, they're around the same time, and they had that sort of same impact on me. So I tried to choose tracks which were really impactful, and those two openers, like the Radiohead Planet Telex opener, is like nothing I'd ever heard before, and I remember just hearing it on and I couldn't figure out. I mean, like now I could tell you technically what's going on,
Yeah,
but at the time I couldn't. It just sounded like it sounded like space,
yeah,
and I think the second track sounds like that as well,
yeah,
which is so music that evokes that otherworldliness was very interesting and nothing I'd experienced before. In fact, actually, I think that is a thread of commonality for all the tracks I've given you is that they feel like they're not of this world.
yeah. They're the best ones.
Oh yeah, I mean it's called Planet Telex, right?
Yeah,
What is that? Where is that?
yeah. It's yeah, you sort of said something around the sort of technicalities of what creates that sound, and you said you couldn't tell us then, but now you could. Um, and that I presume is just down to years of experience of working with different instruments and sound cards or whatever. Um, can you still enjoy music how you enjoyed it then when it was just here's the music rather than now you've seen behind the curtain as a musician? Do you deconstruct stuff as you hear it now, or can you still listen to it as a piece of work?
I think when I was focusing on technicalities and the craft of it, probably less so. But I've had to. It's not the most important thing about making music, and I don't think I've ever forgotten that. But it's definitely something that I'm really thankful that I don't really think about the technicalities of it anymore.
Yeah.
Like because I'm like I know I can do it.
Yeah.
Whereas before, when I was um, trying to what's the word, gain the knowledge. I don't
Yeah.
need to. I don't feel the need to gain knowledge anymore. So now I just enjoy the music again. So
Yeah.
there was a period when I was kind of focused on the craft of it, but I'm not like that anymore at the moment. I don't know if that'll change, but I just feel like I've got enough knowledge now.
Completed it.
Yeah, I've completed it. Yeah, exactly. The only thing I haven't completed, I think, is like getting music that's or art that's as connected to me and you as possible. And
Yeah.
that's nothing to do with technicality.
Yeah.
Like I could approximate Planet Telex, the sounds in it and stuff like that, but it will never feel like Planet Telex, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. I'm going to ask you for track two. Tell me the first song that you remember hearing that had an emotional impact on you, please.
That's Portishead, Mr. Ons. And
Yeah.
I remember it was around the same time because I remember very clearly the sound system I heard them on. When I say sound system, I mean like an Iowa little boombox that I stole from the kitchen. Um, but yeah, I didn't have any idea what these bands were like. I think I bought that album because it was Mercury Prize nominated. I think they might have even won the Mercury Prize, but I think I bought it for that reason. I had no expectations, and when I put that first track again, Mister Ons, I was like, I don't think it's not my favorite track on the album either. But when I first heard that track, I was just like, bloody hell, what is this?
Yeah. That sounds like it's from Mr. Ons. It's from outer space. Like,
Yes, fucking weird. It was weird. I was just like, but also just made me feel like she's got this sort of emotional grounding to it. Yet the
yeah.
rest of the music is just like, where the fuck am I in this
Yeah.
music?
Yeah. It's so like that. I mean, as an album, I mean, and what a time. I mean, I guess that's what 94,
Mm.
93, 94, maybe 94. So that's Benz and Dummy coming out, and I mean both
Oh my God.
trailblazing records, right? And it's
Amazing.
uh, it's interesting because when people look at the 90s for music, if you stick on a documentary on the, on BBC or whatever, it's invariably going to be Blur, Oasis, Pulp, Suede, and the mid
True.
90s, and just scratch the surface of that a little bit, and you actually look at what Beck was doing, what Beastie Boys was doing, what Portishead was doing, and Massive and Tricky. There was like so much, aside from Beastie, there was so much exciting music coming out of the UK at that point as well. It didn't seem
Mm.
to get the attention that maybe, even with Ben's, I think Radiohead was getting good press, but they weren't really getting the huge acknowledgement that they got with obviously with OK Computer, and yeah, and
Oh, is that
yeah,
OK Computer is a lot bigger than the Benz, was it?
I think sort of commercially, yeah, I think
Oh,
it
was it?
would have, I presume so.
I thought
Like,
Paranoid Android killed them because it was like a 7 minute long song.
what you thought that commercial suicide that was?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, that's the impression I got. I thought the Benz was like setting him up to be like this stadium rock band. And then
Yeah,
suddenly the next single was like this 7 minute weird,
yeah.
like froggy track.
It's weird though because like I mean I'm 50 and I was at an age when them records come out that I was already sort of working in DJing and working in clubs and stuff, and it was so exciting. And I think at that point, like if you look at the Radiohead singles on Benz, which would have been Plastic Tree, Street Spirit, High and Dry, and Mine Love, I can't think.
Mm.
Um, they are, as you say, sort of paving the way that potentially this could be another U2 or another REM, and like you say, then all of a sudden it's like, what the fuck's this? This is
Yeah.
like, but I remember you know, when I heard the Bends for the first time, I thought it was amazing. When I had OK Computer, Andrew, I remember when it was oh, what's the track? Exit Music. From,
Mm.
when I heard them sort of big, are they like sort of kettle drums? I don't know what kind of brings it in before it kind of just crawls all over you. That record. I can vividly remember sitting in my bedroom and literally sitting up and going, "Fucking hell!" Like it was just like, this is spectacular. It's like, it's pretty fucking great, that record, and it is like, and I think you need artists that go, well, hang on, we know what we want to do, and I guess the record label's probably saying, yeah, carry on making music like that, but we're like, no, we're gonna, you know, that's an artist, right?
Mm. Yeah, I don't know how they got from, because it does sound like Ben sounds like. I mean, I love the album, but it does sound like it's been interfered by outside forces.
What do you think?
Whereas it feels like that. I might be wrong. I'm probably wrong, but
Yeah,
like OK Computer sounds like them nerding out.
yeah,
Um, like it seems like all the subsequent albums since OK Computer have been like they've kind of been similar in a way, but
yeah,
the Bends is definitely like a stadium rock out.
yeah,
It's huge, you know.
yeah, yeah. There's not been anything from Radiohead since then that has echoed that sort of stuff. Like, I think, you know, they've definitely just created their own little path now, haven't they? And like, what? I mean, do you think there'll ever be a band that will kind of get sort of label support to be, you know, to be signed to, you know, a big label and be able to have that kind of level of creativity? That's quite unheard of now, isn't it? To be such a big band like that. And as you say, maybe with Ben's, there was people just going, no, you leave that, and we're, you know, that's a really good radio single. And you know, nobody's ever going to think that Paranoid Android is made for radio. It's you know, like you say, it's a big epic proggy wig out, and it's glorious. But yeah, I don't know. I think they've done quite well, that they've managed to sort of navigate this path where they can do what the fuck they want, and fans love it, and the label seems to support it. Like,
Mm.
I guess that's the dream, right?
It is the dream. I think. Yeah, I think it is hard. I think it's a testament to these people actually that they've been able to do that. You know, there's a track on Bjork's album which feels like it's been interfered by. It's oh so quiet.
Yeah.
I have to skip that track every time. That's like one of my favorites albums, but I have to skip that track. But it
Was
feels
that
like it's like the record label going, right, we wanna, she's kooky. Right, how do we make her bigger? You know.
It was a real strange one, that, because obviously, you know, we've mentioned Dummy and Ben's, and obviously Debut come out around then as well, and it was again another thing that, you know, that Nelly
What's that?
Hooper
Sorry.
Debut, Bob York,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
uh,
Was it
uh,
right, yeah.
and that Nelly Hooper sound on there was fucking incredible. And you're right, and it was like, then you get Hyper Ballad, and then you get Oh So Quiet. Like, what?
It should have been a bonus. It should have been like a secret track or
Well,
something.
that's what they done on the previous record, wasn't it? They issued the album, and then she done the track "Play Dead" with David Arnold, and then they
Oh,
reissued the album with that as like a kind of extra track on it. That's what they
oh,
should have done with
right.
what's the second album? Post, was it called?
Yeah, post. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they should have done with that, because that record just does not sit right, does it?
No, I have to skip that every time. Every time.
Mm.
Where I've listened to the album so many times. Um,
All
yes.
right, let's talk school. Track three, please. The song that reminds you of your time at school.
So this is like one of my I guess I was probably about 16 or something when I heard this. This Square Pusher Come On My Selector.
Yeah,
And I remember I was at my friend's house. We were 16 and we just started drinking booze, I guess, at that point. But I remember watching MTV on, and yeah, this track came on with this absolutely bonkers track and absolutely bonkers video as well. Like a Chris Cunningham video. They're in hospital, and I just, yeah, at that time, I guess because I was so young, I hadn't heard much stuff. So this track was, it just felt like I didn't know what was going on,
yeah,
and I like that that feeling was like very like it just it was just so surprising every turn of
Yeah.
that song. And I remember being obsessed with it actually. I was just like, fuck, I'm gonna find that song because it was on MTV. I don't know how else will I find it. You know, it just
Yeah.
came on at night. So I was trying to find that song. But yeah, that song's it's I guess it's a reminder of what you can do.
I hadn't heard it for ages, and when I got your list over, I was like, I've not played that for a while, and I put it on.
No.
It's just as mental now as it was then, and yeah, I mean, I guess it's, would you call it jungle? I don't know what you'd call it. Like it's mental.
I've tried when I heard that track, I was like, okay, what's this like? I want to hear other stuff like it. Yeah, it does have parts of jungle and yeah, it has parts. It is parts jungle, but no, nothing sounds like that at
Yeah,
all.
yeah,
The only thing that's close to it, and it's not even that close, is Aphex Twin,
yeah, yeah,
and I think that's still the case today,
yeah,
really. Um,
absolutely. I mean, the bands that you know, you said something right at the beginning of the podcast when you said hearing Planet Alex, it sounded weird. Um, and then you know we've gone on already. We've just mentioned Bjork, and we're now talking Square Pusher and Aphex Twin. Um, all artists that are uniquely, beautifully weird. Was you always kind of drawn something like musically or visually? If you mentioned the Square Pusher video, like if something was a little bit weirder and you know didn't quite sit right, was you drawn to that?
yeah, I think so. I think I was like, we were talking about craft and whether that gets in the way of making music. I think when I was focused on craft, I kind of there's a part of me that wasn't so focused on um, like that relationship between me and the thing I'm consuming. Um, but as soon as I've let go of that in the last few years, it's just been like I've been really interested in things that are compelling, that are engaging, that are interesting. Like interesting is not to be sniffed at. It's like it's the thing that perks you up and makes you think. So
Yeah,
all these things are like they're interesting. So I'm instantly engaged, and then you can feed me what emotions you want to feed me. It's like a door, isn't it? I guess the
absolutely,
compelling. Yeah,
absolutely. Andrew, tell me a little bit about school. Was that something you enjoyed?
I was
And where
I
was it?
it was in Worcester. I went to school in Worcester, and there was a there's a like the sports. There's about 120 people in my year, and there's like the sports guys, and then but thankfully there was like this sort of quite big alternative sort of crowd. Like there's probably like 20 or 30 of us just hung out in this one room. Yeah, about 20 people, all of us really different, but we were called. I only learned this years later, but apparently they called us the Adams family. Um, but yeah, this group was. I'm really thankful. Like I'm still friends with a lot of them now, and yeah, I got a lot of my music recommendations from my friends back then. Like most of these actually from like the friend's house I was at was when I watched Square Pusher.
Yeah,
He's been someone who's been instrumental in showing me new music and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, very formative years in terms of music. I used to have this. I was thinking about this actually when this podcast came up. I used to have one of those army bags with from the army surplus, like the canvas bags.
Hmm.
It's just right. So actually, all these tracks I've chosen, I was like, wow, what tracks did I have on that? What bands did I have on that bag? I just
Yeah, yeah, of course.
but yeah, so like all these bands were on there and stuff. So
Oh, fantastic. Did you, I mean, what did do you have any idea what you wanted to be when you was at school? Was music already something that you felt could be a, you know, a potential future?
no, I had no idea. Like I knew, like I don't know if when at school they had these computers which told you it's crazy to think about it now, but there's a little program these very basic computers, and they'd ask you like about 20 questions, and at the end it'd be like, "Oh, you should be this."
Yeah, I've done
And
that.
it's crazy, like how impactful this shitty sort of
Yeah,
computer program could be on the rest of your life.
yeah,
Like, because it's telling you, like, what could be more truthful than this machine? You know, it's like, so mine was like, "Oh, you should be a graphic designer." So I was like, "Oh, yeah, maybe I should be a graphic designer." But frankly, I ignored that.
crazy. And like the fact that, I mean, that was how we'd go to the careers office to have that test. And like, and it felt like a big thing. It was, oh, today I'm going to find out, what my, what lies ahead for me. That's absolute bullshit.
Isn't it? At the
Yeah,
time, it felt like, okay, this is my path now.
completely crackers, absolutely crackers. Um, okay, I'm going to ask you now, please, Andrew. Tell me about the first song or the first track you remember buying from a record store, please.
Oh, that would have been first track. It might have been. It's either right. It's either Two Unlimited or Shampoo. Do you remember that band?
Trouble.
Like two, yeah, that's it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's either one of the two. I stand by Shampoo as a good band actually, but not so sure about Two Unlimited.
It was they kind of had a few hits, didn't they, Shampoo? And for those that don't sort of recall them, they sort of were essentially a pop band, really, weren't they? But they kind of got sort of covered in the enemy, and they got sort of thrown into lots of sort of press pics with the Manics and stuff like that. And I remember thinking they seemed really edgy. And I mean, Trouble's a fantastic little pop song. Like,
I think I've got their attitude is quite punky.
mm,
Like I didn't appreciate it at the time. I don't think I just
yeah,
appreciated the bright colors and stuff. In fact, I probably did appreciate it without realizing for their punk aesthetic.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
yeah, but yeah, I think I listened to that quite recently, and I thought, yeah, this is actually all right still.
yeah. Absolutely. Carter the
What was your
Unstoppable
first
Sex
record?
Machine do a really good cover version of that as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's worth a
What was your
listen.
first record?
The first record I got bought or given, my nan gave me the 7 inch of, and I'm not trying to be cool because I didn't think it was cool. She just thought it was a novelty record, but it's a Laughing Gnome by Bowie. So I had a 7 inch of that. But the first record that I bought with my money was Video Called the Radio Star by the Buggles. And that's not too bad. It's a great little pop song. And but yeah, what was the first album you bought?
I never bought any singles. It was those two things that I bought actually.
You bought the
Um,
Shampoo album.
I bought the Shampoo album.
Wow.
You bought the Shampoo album.
Oh, fantastic. Oh dear. Yeah, I can't even, I got bought first ever Nah record, and it's, I can see it's just down there because I absolutely adored that record. And it was like it was the first compilation that I think the Nah compilations were
Oh, which one did you get?
the first ever one.
Oh,
Now
the
that's
first
what I call music.
one.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Like
used to buy them as well.
and you know what I loved about it? It was like I've actually interviewed on this podcast quite a few years ago the guy who set that up. Now that's what I call
Really?
music. Yeah, he's oh god, I can't remember his name. That's really rude of me. But he also set up the Mercuries, and yeah, he ended up becoming like Richard Branson's right hand man, all through this really bizarre thing of him working at the Virgin Megastore in the late '70s in Manchester, and the Buzzcocks were selling their Spiral Scratch EP in the store, and it all sold out. And they went in and said, "Look, we need to press more, but we haven't got any money." And so his name's Andrew. Andrew as well. He pulled the money out of the safe and gave him the money to go and print more copies of Spiral Scratch. And so Photo went and done that. Brought them back to shop. Obviously, all sold out again. And Branson got wind of the fact that this guy had sort of took the money out the safe, but had done it to finance the Buzzcock single. And he thought it was fucking incredible and was like, this is the kind of guy that I want working for me, a bit of a maverick thinker and whatever. And he just worked through and through and through and ended up, yeah, and coming up with the Now compilations, which was the first time a compilation album, if I remember rightly, was up until then, all compilation albums were just from one label, and so you get this best of, but it would essentially be EMI, and this was the first time that he got all of the labels to work together to create Now That's What I Call Music, and that first one, I think what's so good about them is it would introduce you. I mean, obviously it's easy to sort of poke fun and sneer at them now, but at the time, as a young impressionable kid, just getting to hear all of these bands, hearing The Cure next to Catch a Goo Goo, next to Phil Collins, I was like, I probably wouldn't have heard The Cure otherwise. And
I reckon I probably bought Now albums before I bought like a proper album.
Yeah. And it had all the chart placements and all the little bits of text underneath about the artist, and it was like I was always a nerd for that sort of shit. So yeah, it was great. I mean, I ain't bought one for a long, long time, but
Are they still going? They're not still going, are they?
Every now and again, I see like a little advert like Now That's What I Call
Really?
Christmas or something like that. Yeah, so I'm sure it's just a digital thing now. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, they had a good run at it. I'm sure
Yeah, I
they.
need to find out. When did they come out? Like every year or something? Or no?
First one come out in '83.
Ah.
And so, yeah, then I guess like one or two a year, I reckon.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. Well, look, we've mentioned about what your first purchases were. Tell me about your relationship with the record store, Andrew. Like, was that something that become important in as you sort of found your way into music as a career, and this day, you still like the record shop?
Yeah, record shops were very important to me. There used to be this one in Bristol called it's not there anymore. It was called Imperial. And there was a dude in there who I never properly met actually, but it was after one recommendation that I'd go back to him and ask him for stuff. So for instance, I think it was oh yeah, he recommended me or either I took up the first Uncle album and he said, yeah, this is really good or something, or he recommended it to me. But then I remember him recommending me Brain Freeze by DJ Shadow. And that's what I was like, right, this guy knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And that relationship, those relationships when you have with people who you like, as soon as they've recommended something that you love, you're just like, there's only been a few people like that in my life that when they recommend me something, I'll be like, okay, right, I need to listen to that. And I was like, I think the record shops are a really good place for those relationships. And I think that was really important. And yeah, in Imperial, they had that thing where they put labels and stuff on it, and like staff picks and stuff like that. But really, it was the relationships that were really important. I think that there's still a lot to be said for that. I still don't really trust. God, it sounds really old, but I don't really trust like the algorithmic recommendations on Spotify.
I agree.
So I miss those relationships.
Yeah. We all need that elitist high fidelity guy, don't we, in the record shop that, makes you feel like you don't deserve to be there, but will bestow upon you his wisdom. And absolutely. Let's go clubbing. Tell me the song.
But it's not an aesthetic thing that I'm looking for. It's like a feeling or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I don't want something that sounds like this. I want something that will make me feel good, or whatever.
What was the last time that happened, and what was it?
I heard. So I'm part of this East and Southeast Asian music group, which was only set up like last year. But from that, I've checked out a few people's music. But the one I've really loved recently was this woman called Helen Ganya. She's on Bell Union. When I heard that album, I thought, wow, this is great. And I've listened to that quite a bit. And then I guess the one before that was I really enjoyed the Indigo. Nothing's kind of blown me away though, but I don't know if that's because I've just. Has anything, when you used to get blown away? Have you had that recently?
No, not for a while. I go looking all the time, but Yeah, yeah. I can't think of the last album that like blew my socks off, like the Bends or like Debut or like Science Fiction or all of them records that you've mentioned. When I heard them, all it said, it was all just like fuck, like someone
What do
just.
you think the last album that did blow you away was?
Hmm. Oh god, on the spot now. Um, I can't really think off the top of my head now. I did enjoy the last Depeche Mode record. 'Cause I was interested to see what they were going to come back with, without Fletch. I enjoyed it, but it didn't knock me sideways. Like I'm already on board with that band. They're one of my favorite bands, so it was like I was halfway there already. So yeah, it was something that absolutely knocked me sideways. I can't think. I really can't think. Like, yeah, sad, really, isn't it?
I don't know if that's to do with us or whether it's, I don't know. Yeah.
Maybe I don't know. Do you think like you set the sort of the mark so high now where there's you've been exposed to so much incredible music. Are you do you want to be blown away by everything you hear? I don't know. Like,
That was certainly the case when you were getting blown away, right?
yeah,
But
of
when I,
course.
when I was getting blown away, I was like, right, I want more of this. And
Yeah,
then they were fucking incessant on
yeah.
vinyl stuff.
I've got a friend who releases music under the name Ham Plaza, and his music is pure electronic, and there's elements of shadow in it, and there's definitely elements of Square Pusher in there, um, and his stuff. He'll just send me something. He goes, I've just been working on this, and he'll send it over, and he's puts it out on his own little sort of label, and he just throws it up on Bandcamp, and no one really knows about what he does, but
What's his
he's
name?
what's that?
What's his name?
His name's Ben Berlin, but he releases music under the name of Ham Plaza, Plazo, and yeah, give it a go if you get a chance because it's pretty fucking crazy, and yeah, and some of the music videos that he's he's found this guy that finds all of these really really mad little old VHS videos, and he chops them all up like literally 2-second edits, and he puts these videos together on YouTube. They look fucking crazy, but it works with that. So sonically, I think that's the last thing that's sort of jolted me really, like his stuff. But on the wider sort of scale of things, I can't really think. But well, I'm going to ask you for track 5. This is, by the way, Andrew. This is the first time anybody's ever fired questions back at me. This is quite surreal. You need to do a podcast. The song that soundtracked your year's clubbing, please.
Are we talking about Bjork here? Bjork Venus as a boy.
I think that's what you put, wasn't it? Let me just double check. So I want to know.
Oh, what soundtrack my clubbing years?
Yeah, so I had Venus as a boy for your
Yeah.
first purchase. Um,
Let's
so
see.
and also for the song soundtrack your year's clubbing. Have you gone for Balls of Canada to go clubbing to? I mean,
No, no, I didn't realize there were questions. I thought all these were just about songs that were formative part of your formative years.
right, okay, we can work around that. We can work around that.
But I could.
I was
I
just thinking, what fucking club are you going to where you're having it to Balls of Canada? That's some serious drugs there.
Yeah, yeah. I've never heard that club. I don't think I have actually. Clubbing, yeah. I went to Bristol because of Portishead
What to study?
to study, but I loved the music of Portishead and Massive Attack. Um, but I got there and there's none of that. It was all drum and bass.
Yeah.
So that's my club. That's my clubbing experience. I'll tell you a clubbing experience that I really enjoyed. It was a track. It was I was hanging around with Dan Snaith from Caribou quite a bit, just
Okay.
after we toured with them. And I remember going with him to Plastic Peoples, which is this club in London.
Forward. Yeah.
And Kieran Fortet was DJing. And I remember this track coming on. I was like, fuck, this is banging. And I remember at the time it was so like the appeal of sort of minimal techno was quite high. It's quite fashionable at that time as well, to be fair. But the appeal of it, like anything could go over a 4/4 beat.
Yeah.
Like, wow, that sounded magical to me. It was like, but yeah, there's this one track that's like, it just the whole room just went fucking off. And I was like, what the fuck is this? And it was Kieran's track called Love Cry.
Okay, I don't know that.
That was a very formative clubbing experience, actually.
And that's Plastic People in Shoreditch, not.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's not there anymore, is it?
No, because they ran forward there for a long time, didn't they? Like big upstep night with quite a people at Rinse. But yeah, it's changed dramatically, that area. It's somewhere that that's
You used to
what
live in London, or
no, but I've promoted in lots of venues around East London, and yeah, I don't do that anymore because just leading up to lockdown, all of the things that pulled me into London, the excitement of just different scenes and music, and I wanted to get out of Essex to do these events because the club scene in Essex wasn't that exciting. And then, yeah, fast forward a few years, and then basically everybody from Essex was just going on Hendoos to Shoreditch every weekend. So I was like, do you know what? I don't really think I want to be DJing here anymore. I used to run a night at the book club with Scroobius Pip. Done that for 10 years, and I run a night with an artist called Mum Dance.
oh yeah, yeah.
And so me and Jack had a night called Different Circles that we run at the Queen Hop for 10 years, and yeah, like it was a really exciting time to put on exciting stuff, and yeah, it just seemed to kind of change a
You were
little bit,
DJ, you were DJing then.
yeah, like, but yeah, not so much now. I'm still at my venue out in Essex, but yeah, nothing in town anymore. I've just I'm 50 now, mate. I'm too old for it all. I'll be standing outside nightclubs in the early hours. I look creepy now. It's not good. Oh dear. So was clubbing in London, like as the sort of music really took off? Did you find yourself kind of being approached to do more DJing and things like that? And was you being sort of pulled into different sort of club scenes? And was, I mean, I'm just trying to think what else was going on. Was Trash ever on your calendar? Did you ever go to sort of Errol's night or anything?
I didn't go clubbing much. I did end up in clubs quite a bit, but it was nothing. I was never really I guess once I was there, I really enjoyed it, but I was never really sort of embedded in any of the club culture in London. I guess I was more embedded in like sort of I don't know what you call it. I guess because ATP was very prominent at that point, so it's like, and there were a lot of gigs at that point.
Mm.
Most of the things I'd go out to were ATP related. Yeah, but clubbing not so much, I guess. Were you more of a club? You was most of your nights clubs nights and all?
Yeah, all of them are club, or pretty much club nights. I've done a night at the Queen of Hoxton, and there was always live at that. I'd have downstairs, I'd have like 4 live acts, and I'd have DJs upstairs. But yeah, the venue that I've been at in Essex for 30 years was famously like a kind of, it's the longest running sort of alternative club in the UK, and it's kind of sort of cut its teeth in the new romantic days. Depeche Mode with a resident band, and it's I'm still there, and that's that's still a very kind of different night out, and yeah, I
I
just can't.
remember. I remember thinking. I probably still think this. Like I used to love DJing. So I used to love being on that side of the DJ booth.
Yeah, same.
Side. I guess yeah, you're not you're not being fucking crushed on that side. But yeah, I used to love DJing actually, but
Yeah,
I felt like I don't know if it was. I guess it's swings and roundabouts, but because I didn't really attend clubs regularly, it meant I wasn't completely in touch with what was going on. But
sure.
that kind of probably there might be a few advantages to that as well because I'd have to
Yeah,
myself and go on my own journey, I guess.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to take you home for track six, and I'm going to ask you for a favourite song from an artist from your home county, and I know that ain't Balls of Canada. Um, so, what's home for you? Where do you see home?
Home, I think I'll always have something that connects me to Birmingham.
Okay,
Um, yeah, I think there's something about the Midlands that, like, I was born in Kidderminster,
yeah,
and I spent a lot of time around that area up until I went to Bristol when I was 18. So Bristol, the places I've lived since then, like Bristol, I've been in London for 20 years.
yeah.
And yeah, I spend a bit of time in Norfolk as well. But I think yeah, Birmingham is probably the most formative. Bristol for sure. Bristol's almost like an aspirational formation, even though the music I liked from Bristol wasn't present there when I
Yeah,
was there. And in London, I don't know. It doesn't. I don't really identify with London musically,
yeah.
but since I've been making my solo stuff, um, the more connected I feel to Birmingham.
But tell me about like in Birmingham and like, my experience of clubs and venues that I worked. I got a night on for a few years at a place called Hare and Hounds, which was a great little venue. I don't know if you know that venue.
They're still there, no, that
Yeah,
one.
yeah, 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 absolutely. I put on some great stuff in there. But I mean, if you had to pick an artist from Brum, like what kind of stuff would you sort of lean on?
Um, God, who would there be? Uh, uh, fuck yeah, I don't know. You know what? I don't know. Let's look. I don't know what. Name some Birmingham artists. Name some Birmingham artists.
UB40, Duran Duran, Stephen Duffy. Who else is from Birmingham? Would Wonder stuff from Birmingham? Uh, gosh, I think there must be an abundance of artists from Birmingham.
Black Sabbath,
Of course, Sabbath. Yeah, of course.
ELO, Dexys, oh, Napalm Death, The Beat, Streets. Really? Um, Broadcast. Are they from Birmingham? Broadcast.
I did not know that,
I thought they were American.
and I,
No,
and I certainly didn't know that Mike Skinner was from Birmingham.
Mike Skin. That rings a bell. That he's from Birmingham. Um, yeah, these bands all have this kind of feeling of like it's just a bit gritty. I'm not
Yeah,
really, like this kind of like imperfection in their sounds,
yeah,
like almost like those imperfections are like the main appeal, I think, with these
yeah,
all those bands are like I think that I find that really appealing. The punk aesthetic again, isn't it?
yeah, yeah,
Very,
absolutely.
very punk aesthetic to Birmingham, which I find really attractive. And probably I grew up around. Um, spent a lot of time in Worcester. I don't know if there's like if that has a big thing as well. But it's just that I guess maybe it's less to do with the music, or maybe the music kind of the bands that come out of those areas is like the the thing that I guess I find connected to is not necessarily the bands, but the what makes those bands those bands. And I
Yeah,
think the area has a lot to do with that. And I think there is a sound, there is an attitude to the Midlands, which I think has had which continues to mold the music I make. I can't quite put it on words. I think it's probably it feels quite punkish to me, but I'm not sure. What do you think?
I'm intrigued to know, the way that you've just spoke there is definitely a sort of nomadic field to your journey so far. And one of the sort of core reasons I set this podcast up was based on a conversation that I had with Kit, and it was like at the time when he was having success in music, everybody was saying, "Oh, like you live in London," and he's like, "No, no, no, I live in Essex. You're going to move to London?" "No, I like Essex." Like, "Yeah, but you're in music. Like, you're going to move to London?" And it's like, I just found that really interesting that there's always that kind of, if you're, in music or acting or the arts, that draw to these big cities that, you have, and essentially London. I guess it happens in Manchester and Liverpool and such and Glasgow. But did you feel that need to, I mean, you obviously went to Bristol first, inspired by, the trip hop movement that was happening. But, as your career started to develop in music, do you feel that it was beneficial, or I guess just beneficial to move to London?
Oh, not musically. In fact, it's probably been detrimental. But
What do you mean by that? Explain that.
it's lonely here. Like it's not conducive. It's like it's money based. Like it's impersonal. Um, it's lonely. It's like it's isolating, and I think everywhere is nowadays. But yeah, London, Bristol has a scene like these towns that you name, like Manchester, Glasgow, Bristol, even Norwich, which I've spent a bit of time in now.
Yeah,
They have scenes. They have.
yeah,
And I'm not saying scenes are great, like, but all the I remember my friend saying this actually. All the scene is a group of mates.
yeah,
That's all it is. It's not nothing to do with them getting together and going, right, let's make a scene. It's not like
yeah,
that. It's just mates hanging out.
yeah.
And I've
You
never
trying to are you trying to make out that the Adams family was a scene?
that was a scene. It was a scene. I love that. I'm gonna call every group a friend group a scene now.
Oh, when this podcast finishes, everyone on a WhatsApp group you're in is going to go, "Andrew just changed the name of this group. That scene."
Yeah. um, yeah. London doesn't. I don't know. It probably has scenes, but
Yeah,
I've never felt. I don't know. They're just. It does. I've never felt like there was a scene that was. Oh God, maybe I'm being blasphemous or something, but I've never. For me, the scenes in other places have felt a little bit more stronger, perhaps.
sure, sure. It seems insane to say that somewhere like London, which is just a hub of chaos and people, and that you use words like loneliness and isolation, but it is though. It's not. I don't find it a friendly place. I don't find it a particularly welcoming place. I'm 20 minutes on the train away, and I'd much rather go to Norwich because I know that chances are somebody will probably say good morning to you in the morning if you walk past them, and I quite like
Yeah.
that.
It's yeah. I mean, like since I've got my dog, actually, it's like I've met a lot more people now. Like
Yeah,
there's a group now in the park, but
scene.
yeah, maybe not. Right, I'm going to add to that. A scene, right, is a group of mates who all make music.
Not dog walk, no.
Yeah. Not a club. um, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's an age thing or yeah. But oh, what was your original question? Whether it was
Did
oh
you
yeah
feel the desire to move to London to sort of, help,
oh
with the band, and did it feel like a smart move,
absolutely. On the other side is every like you can do so much here. Like every band goes through London. If they're going to come to the UK, there's just no. They always go to London.
Mm.
And I always thought, yeah, I remember like the first, yeah, all all the industries here. So but make of that what you will.
Yeah,
And that's of course that's helpful. It's like you got to be in the right. Well, yeah, I guess that the yeah, it helps in that sense, making those connections and stuff like that.
yeah. Okay.
Like being in Birmingham, like being in Bristol. I remember when there's a lot of bands when I was playing in Bristol, and probably still continues to be. But I remember, and I'm sure this is the case in a lot of other towns, it was hard to get out of Bristol. Like, it didn't matter how good you were, like it was hard to get out. Like you could play loads of gigs in Bristol, but that's the key, I think, 'cause these places. I remember thinking this back in the day. It's like all these towns and stuff gave you the ability to hone your craft. Whereas in London, as soon as you could get a little bit of attention, all the labels will sort of descend upon the
Yeah,
next gig you play. And I think that's quite stifling. Um,
yeah. And I think, if it gets signed that quickly on the back of a few gigs, you know, at some point they're going to be like, right, we need an album, and now we need B-sides, and it's like, and you've not got the experience of being able to do that, and you've been signed on, on a 5-song set or whatever, and like, I think I interviewed. Do you remember the Britpop band Menswear?
oh yeah.
So they were from they used to come to my club, so I sort of knew them from back in the 90s, and they basically they got signed, and I think they had 3 songs, and they played them 3 songs at this showcase at either the Camden Falcon or the Dublin Cast, wherever it was. They played their hit Daydreamer twice in their showcase,
Uh,
and literally there was a bidding more for this band. Basically, it all come from having a little feature in Select magazine saying this new wave of mods, and they said like basically we didn't have anything else. Like, we got this record deal and there was all this attention and money thrown at us, but we didn't have any songs. And I think, that's a very big expectation to put on young people to be able to churn something out and be successful. And that's a lot of pressure. And yeah, and I do think there's something, if you look at, you mentioned Bristol, if you look at Idols maybe as an example, they're a band that obviously honed their craft in Bristol, spent a long time kind of sort of gigging around Bristol and coming into town doing gigs and stuff like that. And they've got a body of work. They know how their band works. They know how to write songs together, and they get signed, and they've got a better stab at it. Do you know what I mean?
I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think that certainly seems to be the case. I mean, I'm not sure if it's true, but that's been my. I'm definitely thankful that I was able to grow up in to start making music in Bristol. I'm very
yeah,
thankful.
yeah,
Didn't feel like there was any eyes on me.
yeah. I'm going to ask you for the last track now, and for this, I'm going to ask you for a song that you think many people may not know that you would like them to hear. So this is when you can be you can get recommending now. It hasn't got to be new, be anything.
This is the question. I guess the question is whether the people like are they music fans or are they like I know what I've put on my list that I've sent to you. But what song would I recommend to people that they probably haven't heard? Okay, I'm gonna guess that they're right, let's not think about this.
My experience of my listenership is they're all very passionate music fans.
Who's that? Sorry.
My listenership, this
Oh,
podcast,
okay,
they're
good.
all very passionate music fans,
Okay, right. We'll do this then.
and they're all really lovely as well. So they'll lap up anything that gets
Oh, okay.
recommended.
Oh no, are they all right? They're okay. They're not great. um, Yeah, I like it. So we're talking about hidden gems. I love hidden gems, by the way. Just in anything,
Yeah,
films, games. So we're looking for a hidden gem. Uh,
absolutely.
I guess right. I think what's really underrated is Kate Bush is Kate Bush isn't underrated, right? But her most people know her for Hounds of Love.
Hmm.
I think Red Shoes is really underrated.
I agree.
Yeah, I think it's one of her best albums, and I don't
Yeah.
think people ever talk about it.
Did you
Yeah,
get to see the? Did you get to the gig?
I did. Yeah, the gig.
The gig. I mean, you can say that about Kate Bush, can't you? The
Yeah,
gig, like, because that was it. Like, I didn't get to go. Pip when he took his mum, and I was so jealous.
oh
Like,
no,
yeah, it was. He said it was pretty special.
it was really special. I don't think they played anything off the Red Shoes in that.
Right. Right.
Um, I don't think she's. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure what the reception was around that album. I just know that now no one really talks about that album.
Yeah.
They talk
Yeah.
about the other albums, Dreaming, Lionheart, stuff like that. But I think Red Shoes is very underrated.
Fantastic recommendation. Well, what we do is we put together a little Spotify playlist to accompany the pod with all of the songs that we've spoken about today, so people can go and listen to all of them tracks that we've had a natter about, and more importantly, we can add some of your tracks because well, let's talk about your music. We're banging on about everyone else's. What are
Okay.
you up? What are you up to?
I've yeah, I finished an album last year, but it was around this time I finished it. But I re-recorded the vocals, so it took me another few months. So I finished it at the end of the year. And yeah, really, really pleased with it. Like yeah, it felt like a sort of like what did I call it earlier on? Bottleneck. It felt like a bottleneck, and
Yeah,
then like it seems the stuff is flowing now, and it's really exciting to hear where it's going. It's like I'm on as much of a ride as someone who listens to it.
yeah,
It's just happening. So yeah, I'm excited for this album coming out. It's going to be out in end of August, I think. There's been two singles so far.
yeah.
Um, did my first music video last night.
How was that?
As in, I've never been in a music video, right?
Yeah,
And it's like, I was around, it's like eight people crew. I
right.
was so fucking nervous.
All eyes on you.
Yeah, I had, it's my first video. I had to act. And, you know, I'm not an actor. So I was so fucking nervous. I was like, I felt sick. I felt sick.
God.
Um, I know it's like so it's like this it's this courtyard in Hackney, and I don't really spend that much time in Hackney, so it was all foreign to me. Um, and I walked. It was about 7 o'clock at night. It's going to be from 7 till 1, and I'm normally in bed by 11, so that
Yeah.
was worrying me. And then so I got to this courtyard. People are walking around, and I get introduced to people, and it's like this sort of it's like this. It used to be a school. It's disused now. So it was like a lot of building works and stuff inside. It's very far away from comfortable.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, just I was just really worried. And then the dude, Ollie, the director, said, "Oh, shall we?" There's this one bit I was really worried about, which is where I have to dance in a
Right.
and then I also have to look forlorn in a car. So the day before, no, it was actually that afternoon. I was just I was looking in the mirror and trying to do this look of forlornness. I just thought, fuck yeah, you look terrible, Andy. You look like a dickhead. And you know, Ollie the day before was like, yeah, you should video yourself dancing. Yeah, that was a good suggestion because I thought, wow, you really do look like a dickhead.
Oh
Anyway,
my God. And then you've
in
got to go and then do that in front of eight strangers.
front of like, yeah, exactly. And then, but Ollie was really good. He was like, "Oh, shall we rehearse that bit?" And he goes, "Look, I'll try it first." And he goes, "This is what," he's like, "I'll show you what I want to happen." And then he did it. And then he goes, "Do you want to have a go?" And I did it. And he's like, "Oh, that's great. That's really good. Can't believe you made me do it first." I was like, and that from that moment, I was like, "Oh fuck, yeah, okay, cool. I can do this. I can do this." And then it got easier and easier, and it felt like it was really good. It felt like a proper. The name of their teams are like on a film is on units. So you have a unit, um, like a second unit or a first unit, I think. Um, but it really felt like that. It's like everyone there was working towards a goal. Like
Yeah.
no one was. There's no. It didn't feel like there was a hierarchy or anything like that. I mean, the director, you'd ask the director what he wanted to have, what they thought and stuff. But even the director was like, it felt like he had a real respect for his team. And actually, when I've seen Jim, who I've done a few soundtracks for his films, when he works, it's like uh, there's this feeling of like, yeah, he is the director, but it really is. It feels like a team, and I've never really experienced. Maybe in sports, maybe I felt
Yeah.
that way. Yeah, it was really good. It was really good. It's
Oh,
like it felt.
wonderful.
I know, man. I've never done that before, but it was really good.
Oh,
It
what an
felt really
experience.
special.
Yeah.
Music video. Isn't that
Love
funny?
it. Well,
They
if
filmed
people
it on
want
film.
to.
That's funny. It's loads of crazy. Yeah. Sorry, what are
So
you saying?
I was going to say that if people want to find out where they can see that when it drops and can find out, all about the record, is there going to be any live? Are we going to see? Are we going to see you on the?
Yeah. So I'm doing some in stores at the end of August,
Okay.
and actually, it might be a good. I mean, I'd love. I'm trying to find gigs at the moment, actually.
Okay.
So I'm going to try and find gigs for the end of September.
Okay.
But then at the end of August is when I'm doing this little run of installs, which I'm looking forward to. Oh, it's gonna be so nice. Like
Well,
you know, I'm I always thought it'd be nice to be you know, being an author and they turn up at bookshops and do a reading.
yeah.
I hope it feels like that.
I'm sure it will. Where are you doing in London?
I'm gonna do one in London, Rough Trade East.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, I'll come to
Um,
that.
I'll come to that on the
Yeah,
17th of
absolutely.
August. Yeah, do that.
Oh, wonderful. Well, if people want to sort of find out about all of those releases, videos, everything, where's the best place to keep up to speed with what you're up to?
Instagram is the best one, or and on Instagram and also my newsletter. But go on Instagram
Hmm.
and yeah, follow me on there, or and sign up to the newsletter, which there'll be a link to that on Instagram as well. And that's I keep that regularly updated. You know, ever since I've become so much more focused on a newsletter now because of God, seeing all the like when Elon Musk took over Twitter, you're just like, oh right, he's this established thing, and you just fucked it up. It's like all of them
Yeah,
are open to that now. It's like God, I've got to take control of having communications with people now,
absolutely.
which is why I think
Absolutely.
it's more important. And your podcasting must feel like that, right?
I guess
Did you say
so.
you were podcasting before COVID, but
Yeah, yeah.
outside?
I was just kind of meeting people and recording in studios and yeah,
Right.
face to face. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this episode would be maybe episode 507. So I've done
No,
quite a lot
really.
of these ones, and I've got another couple of podcasts that aren't to do with music. But yeah, the link for your newsletter, I'll put that in the show notes of this
I'll do that, please.
well, so
Yes.
people can go and click it and sign up. And if it's cool with you, I'll tag you in it
Oh, yeah, that'd be great.
on
Yeah,
all
yeah.
the socials. So if people haven't discovered what you do already, then they can do it now. Um, Andrew, it's been lovely chatting to you, mate.
It's
I've
been
had such a
lovely.
nice time.
Yeah, it's been lovely. Thank you so much.
Absolute,
Um, look
absolute
forward to
pleasure,
meeting
mate.
you properly in August.
Yes, yes, I'm going to come to Rough Trade for that 100%. I'm going to press stop, but don't go anywhere.